Hey guys, welcome to a brand new mixing tutorial. Let's take a look at my cover of Insomnia by PERIPHERY. Very challenging, very tricky song. Back from the PERIPHERY 1 days. I need to get on some stuff from this album because I know you guys like it. And now upon revisiting, I think I like it too more than I had in mind. So let's take off the master bus processing. Yep, immediately a bit different, but I'll explain that at the end. So, drums. This drum sound is the same drum sound as my latest Thornhill cover. So the Nurture cover is where you're gonna get the description of this drum sound built using Invasion. It's meant to be very metal, very modern, very articulate. Very bright cymbals, very snappy drums. And yeah, you just go to the Thornhill Nurture cover. You can type that in the search bar and you'll get the full rundown of this drum sound because I know a lot of you guys know it already. I don't have to repeat myself, and the description there is very, very detailed on all the plugins. So this bass tone, my bass's strings, are so dead. This is no bueno, right? So first things first, get some distortion on it to track. First thing I added was Joel Wanasek's Bus Glue bass. Let me open the full plugin view. Yeah, so the first thing was Joel Wanasek's Bus Glue bass with maximum low end compression and maximum top end compression, and then I just balanced their levels accordingly, distort the high end. Went for the B distortion. It's a very clanky distortion as opposed to this very fuzzy ones, the A and C. Completely different. Then it was all about EQing the bass a little bit before it went into the thing. Makes it a whole lot softer, and there's this problem with my bass where the pickups have a magnetic ring. I've successfully edited lots of the silences so you don't hear it, but when I'm playing and pausing, here I haven't edited the silences. And I'll add the distortion. So I take that off with a big notch and a lot of mid-range cuts from the strings being very old. These scoops are all useful. Yeah, after that, it was time for some extra distortion before the amp. That's where Saturn comes into play because you can distort just the mid-range of your DI in a very specific spot. Really helping the bass cut through, and it doesn't really increase its overall volume because I distort the mid-range band from 1K to 2.5K, and I turn down its volume by a bit to compensate. So that's what I'm doing with Saturn. Giving the DI this mojo. After that, our bass for extra subs, which I thought the bass needed at around 65, which is where this low C occurs. Very cool trick. If you use the frequency to match the key of the song, you can get very massive boost in that note. Yep, and it's about EQ. Subs beneath 35 are useless, really. Low end was a bit boomy above this 100 area that I think should be more prominent in 80 area. So around the 200 area, there's a little dip. Reduce this mid-range price in Zack 600 because I like the 1K stuff better. And increase the grindiness at 3K, cutting everything above that. Helps the bass be a little bit more consistent. And then for shits and giggles, I schmacked it with a compressor. Of course, there's a big level cut, but hopefully you hear what it does to the pick attack, with the attack being a little bit slower and the attack mod being high on this. Makes the attack kind of jump out at you. All right. So guitars, I thought I'd be using something like a 5150, but I just never like the 5150 on this guy. It feels like it grabs the wrong notes. This feels kind of stupid. I rarely like to play through this unless it's a super techie thing, which I thought this would be, and it is, but I much prefer the Überschall. Of course, it's louder, but it's a little bit smoother. I don't know. Cabinet 3 is the more gent cab out of all these ones. That's the combination. Amp 2, cab 3. What EQ moves? Yeah. My obligatory palm mute control. So a dynamic EQ point that controls the low end when you palm mute. If it gets too loud, it goes down. Subcut at 65. Basically superstitious. There's nothing there. Scooping the mid-range a little bit. Tightening it up. And there's annoying points at 2.5 and 4K. This one sounds harsh and whistly. No, this one sounds kind of scratchy and harsh. And this one sounds whistly. After that, there's 2 compressors so that these guitars can slam. For consistency, I have RX, which is super simple. You just set an amount of compression and the attack. So 5 milliseconds is the default. Let some pick come through. It's about 2 decibels of gain reduction for consistency. Then a rouser is doing the hard work and also changing the mid-range and tone of it with the saturation in there called clipping. Oh, and of course the attack. If you want to listen to how the slower attack affects the thing. It's like every pick jumps at you, and this gives it a more mid-range EQ, really. Smoothens the top and bottom. Very cool. Oh, and the release is basically dead fast, because I just want to hear it work on the attack and then just move perfectly with the volume. Then soothe. Using a preset called Guitar guitar D-spike done by Nolly. We trust Nolly. I just added a lot of detection bias towards 7K because I'm hearing stuff there. It doesn't want to pick it up, but there's some harsh stuff that I don't like there. Good basis for the mix. Let's jump into these lead things. And my favorite. Pretty cool. All of the lead tones are going to be the same amp, but I'm going to have switched to cab 4 because the mid-range, extra mid-range from cab 3 to cab 4 will help push it. Cab 4 is going to be key here. Different EQs based on the different leads. This one will have some woofiness cut out and some brightness added in. And then it's all about reverb and delay. So different settings for every lead. This one is 6 seconds, 20% mix. And the delay is just, oh my God, 50% wet, just to put it in a space. Really helped. Cool. So the first lead, again, amp 2, cab 4. That's gonna be the lead combo tone. And I'm here using some new sound toys effects that I got through Effect Rack. These are very crazy effects that I've been having actually a tough time adding to my shit, but I think it's in these leads that they'll find their home. So without these two guys, and with them. So that was a bit of micro shift, which is a little bit of a chorus. And then my favorite so far out of all these is Pan Man, which is just an automatic panner. It makes the lead go a little bit like this, and this is worth the money. I just love how you just pull it up, and that's how easy it is. Smoothing out the low end and the high end. Putting it in its space. Almost 6 seconds, 25% is a bit heavier. This one in the reintro is the same tone. It's just that it has way less gain on the amp. The other effects are the same. Then we arrive at this stereo pair here. Same tone, amp 2 and cabinet 4. Into soothe immediately. For some reason, same as the guitars, I just wanted this one to really blend and not be pokey. And what Soothe does to lead guitars ends up being very note specific, so it helps balance every note with each other. Very good. Same, smoothing out low end and high end a little bit tighter this time. And the delay is, as you can hear, is a little bit slowed down and heavier on the mix, like 20%. And it's a quarter note instead of an eighth note to give it a bit more room. Cleans are very cool today. This is the Cat C neck split coil, I think, or middle split coil, and it just sounds ready. No effects, and it could have gone through. So I have 0 amp simulation going on in this. I just immediately run it through modulated delay. So it's a quarter note, and the modulation depth is turned to 3 so that the repeats get a bit chorusy. Mix at 25 is pretty heavy. Super important. Big reverb, so 10 seconds of it and 35% mix is gonna give you a big room. Oh yeah, boy. So good. After that, it's just details. This compressor is helping level the guitar out with the effects, make everything a little bit louder in your face. But very soft and transparent. And yeah, the EQ is just softening this low end bump and the pick attack, which, believe it or not, was a bit too much. It almost ends up sounding like a choir, the way the chord picks up on the reverb. Very happy. Then it was time to blow this up in the master, right? I used my usual 5 mastering plugins. Golfos is the first EQ I applied to the mix. It works dynamically, and it tries to make your whole mix sound a little bit more pleasant to the human ear, which is what we want, right? But it has its cons, because it works always based on a high-end boost that can sound very good, but if your cymbals are already very present in this area, they can sound harsh. And that's what I found in this mix, so I turned the brighten a little bit down, and I didn't go hard on recover, which tries to boost those good frequencies, but I did go a little bit harder on tame, which tries to tame the harsh ones. These guitars are a bit harsh compared to the original, and it helps. It actually tames a lot of low mids as well, as you can hear there. You can hear the mix just sounds a little bit better, a little bit decongestioned, but the high-end boost, man, I wish there was a button to... You can make it not detect that, but that just shifts the high-end boost down, which sometimes doesn't sound good as well. This guy is weird, but it always makes my mix sound a little bit better. I wish I could control the high-end more. Compression, I always want the drums to hit a compressor on the master bus so that the whole mix gets the energy of the drums moving it. Because if the drum hits a mix bus compressor, all of the music goes down when the drum hits, and that's good energy, as well as Joel Wanasek's bus glue compressor having a little bit of saturations in the transformer option. Steel is a sub one, iron is a low end, low mid one, and nickel is high end. No more saturation on the high end on this one, please. And iron made the bass and guitars a little bit fluffier. When I turn this up, it's like energy just comes up. Everything is as loud as the drums, which is cool. Multiband, for this guy, I tried to make it a bit different today. I tried to make the threshold so that every frequency band hit a little bit the same. So basically, it's a glorified mix bus compressor where I can have control of individual frequencies. In this case, what I did is tell it to hit the mid-range a little bit less. And yeah, by nature, it just hit the low mids a little bit more, which I liked. Helped control the palm mutes. And then in an attempt to smooth the cymbals out in a cooler way, I used tape here by Softtube. Amount is 1, which is very short. And then the tape speed is studio, so that it doesn't cut a lot of high end or add a lot of bass. You can hear it close just a little bit there. And then the limiter. So you guys know how I like to use a limiter. Just pull the threshold down until the drums start to get cut. And then you just decide how much. If you want to chop all of the drums off, go ahead. If you want to dig further into the guitars, go ahead. As long as you think it sounds good and energetic and not distorted. This is how you get loudness, is by chopping your drum peaks at a limiter. You can turn everything else up. In this case, you see me do very little because the drum peaks, the drums aren't the loudest thing in this mix. I made it very guitar heavy and they're already very compressed from the first 2 compressors. So that is this mix, guys. I hope you liked it. Thank you so much for supporting on the Patreon page. If you've seen the latest announcement, I now have a drum kit. Let's see what the hell I could do with this. I want to do drums in my covers too. That's going to result in some very interesting mixing tutorials for you guys where I mix my own real drums. Let's see where this goes. Thank you so much for your support, and I'll see you in the next one.